This is Zestology, and a bit of a different one in that it is recorded live on the scene in Thailand. I'm at the airport, and that's because we recorded this podcast yesterday, but I haven't had time to record an intro, so I'm quickly recording this now before I go and get on the plane home. But very relaxed, much more relaxed than I was 2 weeks ago. And it was with my good friends, Brett and Georgia, who live out here. A little bit more from them in a second. Brett Moran's been on the podcast loads before, and this is Georgia's first appearance. But before that, my son wanted to make a first appearance on the podcast. So this was us in Brett's Jeep yesterday, and me asking Stan if he'd like to be on the podcast. Stan?
We're in a Hyundai now.
Yeah, we're in a Hyundai. Do you want to be in a podcast?
No, I don't want to.
What about if your daddy invites you to be on his podcast?
Yes.
Yeah, you would like
in
to
that
be.
Case.
Yeah, will you talk to daddy on the podcast?
Yes.
Oh, that'd be great. All right, what should we talk about? Buses?
Yes.
Which number bus?
The number 2.
The number 2. And any others, or just the number 2?
The N65.
The N65, yeah. Anything else?
And the 110.
And the 110, yeah.
And the A65.
A65, one I've never heard of before. Anything else? All right, thanks for coming on my podcast.
Yeah.
Bye. Okay, I'm now inside the terminal, really recording this podcast on the fly as we get ready to go. And there you go, that was my son's debut appearance on the podcast. And now it's time for Brett and Georgia from Bodhi Meditation. Brett Moran has been on this podcast loads of times before, although it is Georgia's first appearance. And Brett is a master meditator as well as a respected and celebrated yoga teacher and someone who's lived out in this part of the world for quite a few years. And in past episodes, we've spoken about how he ended up in prison for quite a few years and completely turned his life around through meditation and spirituality and realising the error of his ways, I suppose you'd call it. And I've known Brett for about 7 years. As you'll hear the story of our friendship. And his life really has changed. And we've recorded podcasts out here before. But since we last recorded, Bodhi Yoga and Bodhi Meditation has got a lot bigger. So there you go, you get a little proof that I'm in the airport. So Brett and George are here to talk Bodhi and everything meditation, getting outside your comfort zone, living in Thailand, doing the things that make you happy, achieving your dreams and focusing on your dreams, and we just have a general chat. Honestly, we speak about all sorts, and it's always the way with Brett. Yeah, and Georgia for the first time, but what a natural and what a lovely person she is as well. And we had so much fun hanging out with them both. Stan absolutely loved them as well. And here are Brett and Georgia from Bodhi on Zestology. Recording.
Amazing.
I'm already feeling guilty because we're sitting in a cafe and we just asked them to switch off the music. It's a stormy, rainy afternoon here in Phuket, and we found a lovely little spot. And I mean, I think everyone else here is fine without us playing the music, aren't they?
Well, actually, I'd like it back on.
Yeah. Guys, it's lovely to see you. Georgia, it's been really nice to meet you over the last couple of days. I'll do a little intro afterwards so people will already hear about both of you, and obviously Brett, people have heard you on the podcast loads before. How are you both?
Very, very well, thank you. And excited to be on here. This is actually my first podcast ever.
Is it?
Yes, a very privilege.
Oh yeah, well, honoured to have you on. And Brett, obviously you've been on a few times before. Life is treating you both really well, isn't it?
Life is amazing. We just had some lovely food, coconuts, and I got to meet your young man Stan, which has been the highlight of the last few days for me. It's been amazing, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's loving spending time with you both.
He's adorable.
You're basically free childcare for us as well, so this is good.
I thought it was for a podcast interview, but it's for babysitting.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, we're recording all okay. What should we talk about? You guys have got such big plans here, haven't you? Tell me about some of the sort of projects going on at the moment here and how it relates to. I always sort of like hearing about how you both live out here, and I always sort of say to you, "Oh mate, what's it like? You know, what was it?" But actually, what can people take away from how you guys are living your lives if they're sat in Wigan on a cold Tuesday afternoon listening to this podcast? There you go.
Go for it. I'll let Georgia speak first.
Yeah.
It's her first podcast.
Yeah.
I think for me it's just like that deep knowing that if you are sat there on a cold afternoon not enjoying where you are, like anything is possible. Absolutely anything is possible. So make a change. Choose what it is that you do want and go for it, no matter if it's scary, no matter if it feels challenging or you don't even know what it looks like. Just make a move towards whatever future you want, because as we are sat here now, like this was always an idea in my mind, but then turning it into a reality is like 1,000,000 times better than I ever could have dreamed it would have been.
I was speaking to Georgia the other day and I was like, what did you do? So to cut a long story short, we've been doing a meditation company for the last couple of years. So Georgia was at home during lockdown and working off of Zoom. So we spoke to each other for 2 years. I was like, what have you been doing? Like, how did you get here? And it was, I listened to the sounds of Thailand's rain or Thailand's nature. I packed my bags about 20, 30 times. I visualized it. And I think, like, if you are at home right now, I just want to say that, because if you are at home right now and you think, well, I can't buy a ticket, I can't get to Thailand. It's like, but you can in your mind. And I think that's something key that Georgia was doing. It's like she visualized it and she saw it coming and it became a reality. I think because of that. And if you don't have that vision or that dream in your mind and you think it's impossible and you can't do it, then it is going to be impossible, right? So even if you are stuck at home, have that dream and vision. I think that's the first step.
Yeah.
And Georgia definitely embodied that. Like, she really had that to get here.
Yeah. So for the last couple of years, you have been, obviously you've been out here for years and years, and we first recorded the podcast here 4 years ago, didn't we?
Yeah, in Copenhagen.
So, and you've been here for a while then. But you've been doing meditation online, meditation retreats, is that what you call it?
Teacher training.
Training, yeah.
Well, it didn't start like that way. To be honest with you, I was just like, if I'm really honest, for the last couple of years during this whole lockdown thing, I've had so much freedom. Getting up when I want, doing what I want. I think I've worn my face mask half a dozen times. I've never had any worries or troubles whatsoever. But there was a point which really hit me when I spoke to my mum on the first lockdown in the UK, and she just burst out crying in tears. And I was just like, wow. And obviously millions of people were going through the same thing. But when it's your mum, it really, something hits you. And I remember texting Georgia, voicemailing Georgia, and I said, like, we want to do something. And I think we first started off with like free meditations on Instagram. We just did live meditations on Instagram. And then the next kind of idea was to do a 10-week teacher training meditation program. So I voicemailed Georgia, she said yeah, and then we did it, and now we've trained hundreds of people. So we really used the lockdown in a positive way to spread meditation and create a safe space for people to come and just reduce that kind of worry and fear and anxiety and stress. And now it's just grown organically and become a massive business for us. Yeah. It's been incredible.
And we know that, like, obviously with the lockdown, that brought lots of different things for people, but for a lot of people it gave them the ability to stop and really assess, am I happy doing what I'm doing? Does the 9 to 5 serve me? Am I feeling joy in my job or my life? And for a lot of them, that time was actually very precious because it allowed them to really see that they were in a routine that wasn't bringing them anything fulfilling. And we've met so many people that have then come through the training and within the first couple of weeks quit their job or decided that they want to travel or write books or like just so many different elements of their life. They've been able to make changes to create more purpose, more passion, more joy for living, and we're attracting more and more people like that because, again, I think a lot of people are now in a stage where they're reevaluating where do I want to be and what do I want to do.
Yeah, it sort of makes you think, what is it all for if we can't go out? and even when things get back to normal, I mean, we've met a lot of people on this holiday who say, it's the first holiday we've had in 3 or 4 years, and actually we found the first week it took us quite a long time to unwind.
Yeah, to adjust.
Yeah.
It's going to take you about 10 weeks to kind of like readjust.
Yeah. And I know I sort of asked you this 4 years ago, but I always think if you were living here, it wouldn't be the same. You'd still have, if you were working from here, you'd have the same sort of stresses and strains, but it doesn't seem like you actually do. Either of you have that much stress in your life. You're plugged into a nice semi-work, semi-holiday mode.
I think it's like if you are in an environment that you feel that you fit in and that you create that space and you have that intention and you choose to make that choice, then that's what you will live by. And for both of us, I think we choose to know that like when we're working, and we really do but we love it, and it never feels like work or like a job. And then at the same time always coming back to, but like see where you are, be in that moment, enjoy being here, and even coming here for us, like take that time to go and like see the places around you. And I think it's same again, whether you're in England or whether you're in Thailand, like there is beauty everywhere, but we get so caught up in that routine and in doing and in working. Like it's important to have that balance, and it's good to have each other to remind each other of that as well. But I think that's very much naturally there, just in taking that time to stop and appreciate everything.
And I think something that we've definitely discussed, like you can be living in Thailand and it can be hell. It's raining too much, the mosquitoes keep biting me, the music's too loud in a restaurant. No, and so what I'm trying to say is like it's attitude. It's from within, and obviously you're talking to two very positive people that love life, that are blown away by the nature and the bugs and the and the rain. But we've met a lot of people, and they just, wherever you go, you take yourself with you, and they come over, bless them, and they're still kind of creating that drama and that stress. And so I think really more than anything, the real lockdown is inside. It's your mind. And if you can really kind of start to master that through meditation or through yoga or reading or whatever it is, I think meditation probably would be my go-to. You can really turn some kind of place that you're not happy with into an opportunity for growth, and you can start changing it, because you can obviously fly to Thailand, and if you still got that kind of attitude which is not so positive, you're going to look for the negatives, if that makes sense. So I do think it's mindset. It's definitely kind of like how you take your mind with you, or how you understand the nature of the mind.
Interrupting this podcast for one moment to remind you that today's podcast partners are Magnesium Breakthrough. And I have been partnering with Magnesium Breakthrough for quite a while now, over a couple of years actually, and always so pleased that I only partner with products that I actually use. But I've got some sort of hot off the press news, because Magnesium Breakthrough has a new formula. Yes, a completely new formula for Magnesium Breakthrough. It is the 4th generation formula. It means it's now even more potent and effective for reducing stress, improving sleep, and boosting energy levels. The reason it's good is because they already have the full spectrum of different types of magnesium in there, but now they've got cofactors that help with the absorption of magnesium, so B6 and manganese, and others as well. So if you've never tried Magnesium Breakthrough, now is the perfect time to try it. It is for the deepest healing of many health problems, and 75% of people are not getting enough magnesium. So it can help you sleep longer and deeper, reduce stress levels, give you abundant all-day energy. This podcast is all about energy. I definitely notice when I take less magnesium, I feel a little bit dehydrated as well, and I don't sleep as well. So I take it twice a day, normally one after lunch and one at night, although a lot of people just take it at night. Simply take 2 capsules before bed, or like me, one after lunch, and see how you feel. Go to magbreakthrough.com/zestology. Use the code zestology10 during checkout to save 10% off and get free shipping as well. And if you're in the UK, you can use the code zestology10 on the Bioptimizers UK site, and that will work for all their products. See how you go with the new formula. It is the new Magnesium Breakthrough. magbreakthrough.com/zestology. That's it. Back to the show. So we recorded our first podcast about 7 years ago, didn't we? And I'm always interested in your journey in particular, because then we spoke quite a bit about your prison experience and everything that had happened since then. And obviously things have changed a lot for you over the last 7 years, but I'm thinking, if you were to look 7 years in the future, what do you aspire to for the next 7 years? Or do you not look that far ahead?
Yeah, I definitely do look that far ahead, 100%. And I feel like it's good to have back to the vision thing. Like you have then a future person, like my future self. It kind of pulls you towards your destiny, So like going many years ago, I was like, wow, I want to be cleaner for drugs, and I want to be this better role model for my daughter. I want to be a good person. But then I'm out drinking, smoking, and doing all the things. I'm not aligned with my future self. So I think it's very good to have a vision, like a 5 or a 10-year vision for your life, because then it actually shows you back to reality, like my behaviors and actions are not aligned with that person I want to become. So I definitely think it's good to have that vision. And now, I've got a vision like for the next 10 years to open yoga studios around the world, write books and just really spread meditation. Again, for the last couple of years, seeing how much it impacted people, I think now more than ever before, if you're not meditating and if you're not kind of looking at your mental health in that positive way, you're definitely going to suffer. Like, that's just, the world is just going to get kind of a lot more busier, a lot more hectic, and if you're not in control of the mindset, then it's just going to be scary for you. So my vision in the 10 years is just to really raise consciousness and spread meditation much, but without any attachment to it. I'm just still going to drink coconuts, float along on the beach, be immature and silly, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I've done my best.
And how much of the 10-year vision is location based? Because obviously it's all very well saying, hey, just have a great mindset, guys, you'll be all right. But in 7 years' time, Georgia, you're in your 20s, you're living the dream here. Can you honestly see yourself living in London in your mid-30s?
I mean, it's not part of my plan.
It's a bit different listening to the sounds of Thailand to actually being here, isn't it? You know what I mean? Yeah.
You know, I feel like the past 2 years served me so well. And like when I flew into England, like not knowing how long that lockdown was going to be, I genuinely thought like, okay, this is going to be like 6 to 8 weeks, and I'll be back on a plane in Thailand again. And I was actually speaking to my dad the other day because I didn't have anywhere to stay. I didn't really have any things, and my mum put me up in her living room. And again, thinking that was just going to be like a couple of weeks, then I'd be back on a plane in Thailand. And that sofa bed that I was sleeping on is now at my dad's house. And I was on the phone to him and he said, did you sleep on this for 19 months? And he pointed to this sofa bed and I was like, yeah. And he was like, why?
Yeah.
And it was honestly just one of those things where it just like the back falls down and it's flat and it's got like a very small padding on it. And I said to him, like, I genuinely, every single month that I was there, I was like, okay, by this point next month, I'll be in Thailand. Every time we did a teacher training, it's like, by the next one, I'll be in Thailand. By the next one, I'll be in Thailand. And that was 19 months of being there in that. But that was 19 months where I never gave up hope, never gave up belief, where I continued to have that vision and that dream to be here. But I also learned that actually that practice kept me in there in those 19 months without going, I give up, I'm going to like have a mortgage and a house, or I'm going to buy a bed, I'm going to agree to being here. Like, that was never there. So I know wherever I am in the world, like Brett said, like, you take yourself with you. So for me, yeah, maybe I will end up there, maybe I'll be in Mexico, maybe I'll be in Bali, who knows where I will be, but I know that if I'm there with me, that part I think was so strengthened in those 2 years. For me it doesn't matter where I am.
When we started recording this podcast, it was actually very, very quiet here. Now there's a number of kids here, but
can we turn the children down?
Based on the fact that I've got a very noisy toddler, and I'm very conscious of sometimes people not liking it. I'm going to embrace it. It's part of the podcast. And going back to what you were saying, there's nothing worse in life than having to spend loads of money on a bed. I resent it. Beds are so expensive, aren't they?
And the thing is, it was like in my mind, it was like, if you buy a bed, you're agreeing to being here.
Yeah.
Like, you're saying to yourself, this is where I am, this is where I settled. And I just had this, I genuinely kept saying, like, within a couple of weeks, like, you will be in Thailand, you'll be there, you'll be wherever you are. But 19 months or 19 days, like, whatever it is, like, when you're then here, like, now it feels like a millisecond. It's just a moment in time. But it gives me more inspiration and more motivation as well, like, to look at the decisions that I do make. Like, when I made that choice then, I never had the clarity or the certainty in that mindset to make a decision that I believe I would now if I was faced with the same choice.
You wouldn't go back if there was another lockdown?
Absolutely not. And again, I think that will then change the decisions that I make in 10 years' time as to, okay, where are you going to go next? Where do you want to be?
So, what are you doing with Bodhi Meditation at the moment?
So at the moment we have a 10-week online teacher training course, and people can come for a 10-week journey. We take them through 8 different meditations. They team up with a Bodhi buddy, and they get to practice meditation with each other. And it's for people that want to go on a personal journey to learn about law of attraction or visualization, learn how to let go of their emotional baggage in their past, or learn how to just quieten the mind and reduce that stress and anxiety, or really step into your power like Georgia and like travel around the world. Whatever it is, we've got a beautiful 10-week teacher training program, which anybody can join online, and I'm sure you can put a link somewhere down below. There's my shameless plug, as usual.
So I've got 50% affiliate.
and then we literally, because obviously been locked down, tomorrow we're going to a company or a resort called Island Yoga. and it's where we're going to do our first yoga and meditation teacher training courses in Thailand. So if anybody wants to become a yoga or meditation teacher, they can train with us for 4 weeks. Or if you want to come on a 10-week adventure retreat, really reach your full potential, travel around the world, have adventures with us, see elephants.
Yeah.
You know, we donate money to elephants. We go and see the monkeys, we go for hikes. Then they can come and get involved and just join us and join that Bodhi buzz.
And it is a lovely country, isn't it? I mean, right now
Beautiful.
my son is getting a massage in there and possibly watching Thomas the Tank Engine at the same time, but at the experience of actually, I mean, when we walk down the street with him, we're like celebrities.
Yeah, they love him.
Not me, him. They just love him.
You look
don't
like
they?
Beckham, remember?
Yeah, that's right. Somebody told me I look like David Beckham. She actually said I had David Beckham's bone structure, which isn't quite the same as saying I look like David Beckham. But I'll take that. Yeah.
But you're right, they such beautiful people in Thailand, and the culture, and they work so hard for such less, but they've still got a smile, and they'll take their time out for your child or to call you David Beckham.
Yeah. Do you see another side to it? I mean, I remember working with someone a long time ago who set up a business in Koh Samui in the 90s, and she said she had a massive struggle because at that point there were so few foreigners, Farang, on the island, that she just felt that she wasn't. I think the locals felt that she was taking money away from them, and she just wasn't that welcome. Do you ever feel like that now?
I see the opposite. Again, I think it goes back to, I don't know that lady, but I think it's always back to like how you see it.
Yeah.
So obviously her story is true and valid for her.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely don't see that. I actually see the opposite. Yeah, there's a lot of beautiful companies in Koh Phangan and lots of foreigners.
You're employing Thais now as well.
Yeah, we've got an employee, like a Thai lady. So I think if you give back and you're just sensible and, I think they actually work together. It works well. Yeah. I think the Thai people are very grateful for the customers that come over for, say, the yoga resorts or the vegan restaurants. And then I think that the people that come over are so grateful to the Thai people. Again, obviously you get 1 or 2 apples that are, bad apples, so to speak. But I think it's just down to the attitude within the person. Yeah.
We hope very much to be here with you for longer next time.
Yes, we hope so too.
We're sort of just brewing an idea that we could be. Obviously, I don't need to be anywhere to run this business now. Nor do you, either of you, which is why you're here, I guess. And Faith doesn't now either, so we were potentially a lot more flexible. We've still got a little man with us, but I think he'd enjoy being out for a while, wouldn't he?
I think he would love it, man. Yeah, I really do. I think it would be so great for him.
Yeah.
So when you planning to come over?
Well, there's a few. It's sort of percolating in our heads that we could come over next year for a bit.
Yeah.
We'll think about it.
I think it's done. It's really done.
Well, what would happen is we'd come over for a few months, and then there'd be an existential question: are we just going to stay here? Or are we going to be like the Brett Moran of Zestology podcast?
We'll be interviewing you for our podcast, for the Bodhi podcast.
Have you got a podcast?
I haven't. I did have one a long time ago.
I remember you did, didn't you?
Yeah, and then maybe we're planning it, but at the moment it's just incremental steps.
Yeah. Also, you don't want to do. You're very active on Instagram. You don't want to do too much stuff.
Yeah.
And social media takes you so out of the moment.
Out of this, especially out of Thailand. Yeah.
And we've learned a lot because we, mainly Brett, has lots of amazing ideas and lots of different projects that we want to do, and we go all in and we want to give it our all. But also, it is just recognizing, which parts of the business now do we really want to put that energy and attention into, and again, when we do go for something, wanting to be fully all in it. So with like a podcast or a YouTube channel or all of those things where we're so excited to do them, it's just making sure the energy's there to be able to give them the attention they deserve. I think
what Georgia's saying is Brett, no, chill out. Yeah, that's what she said. That's a subliminal message to Brett, not to run off with 1,000 ideas.
That's exactly the problem that we have. You've got a whole list of ideas, and you sort of think, hang on a sec, we could spend a month on this, but actually, is it the priority?
Yeah.
And it's first things first. You got to pay the bills, haven't you? And then you want to be creative, have fun, serve.
Did you say surf or serve?
Surf. And then after that, you want to try with a few of the sort of moonshot ideas as well, don't you? But they've got to come after. You can't just because I after we chatted yesterday, I spent about 3 hours that evening looking at, how do I set up my own crypto token? Nobody listening to this wants a Zestology crypto token, but I googled it and I found that I could set it up.
I'd have one.
The idea is that you listen to Zestology and then you get a Zestology token, and you can exchange it for 5p. So what is I've asked everyone this question on the podcast. You may not know this in advance, Georgia, but what is one tip for living with more energy and vitality, and one book you'd recommend? Brett, I'll ask you first because Georgia...
I was going to cheat there. I was going to listen to George's.
But what is one tip for living with more energy, and one book you would recommend? It doesn't matter if it's one that you've done before or if it's like a fiction book or non-fiction. It could be anything.
Okay, I remember years ago living at my mum's house, and like, you know, she has the TV on, the electricity there. It's in a block of flats, and I never forget this. I can't remember the name of the book, but I was reading it, and the guy said, if you wake up in the morning and just put your head out of the window and take 5 deep breaths, it just starts your day in a different way. Basically, get out. So I would say, if you can't get out of the house, put your head out the window and take 5 deep breaths. And I used to love doing it, funny enough, on the winter chilly mornings, and the air would go up your nose, and it just really gave me a shot of energy. Or obviously my other one would be just get out of the house first thing in the morning, take a walk in the park, walk on the beach, and just connect to nature in your own way. 5 minutes or 50 minutes, as long as you can get out in nature. Book-wise, very different one actually. I'm always talking about books about like self-help and personal development, and I'll be a word of warning, this is a bit of a hardcore book, but it's a book called Do the Birds Still Sing in Hell? And it's about a young man that was taken to war, and it's just his story. Very hardcore. There's some moments that are pretty horrific, but I would say it's a love story, and I couldn't put the book down. I read it kind of probably 6 months ago. It was phenomenal. So Do the Birds Still Sing in Hell? I would highly recommend that book.
Right.
Completely opposite to any self-help transformational books, but I do like a novel sometimes, and that's in my top 5.
Yeah, you can learn a lot. I mean, I personally find the best way to relax is fiction.
Well, actually, I learned so much self-help stuff from that book.
Yeah.
Determination, mindset, love, freedom, liberation. I was like, it's not 6 steps on how to find it. It's like, here's somebody's personal story of how he coped with it, and I think you can learn so much from it.
Yeah. Georgia, what about you?
I think for me, the tip for living with more energy, and this is just because I never feel more energized than when I'm laughing. Like, I think living in joy is so important. So find the things that genuinely make you laugh, that bring joy into your life. And then I think if you're living joyful, you're living energized anyway. Like, it's the most natural way to recharge for me, is to just be around that. So yeah, I think as well, sometimes we can forget to laugh. Again, if we're in that routine, we're waking up, we're doing the 9 to 5, we're like going home, having dinner, going to sleep, you forget that that's actually a part of it. And you don't, you go a whole day without having that in your life. So find that, or make sure that actually it's like if the laughter's gone, it needs to come back in. And then book-wise...
You read my book, have you, G? Putting her on the spot. Would you recommend the Brett Moran Wake the Fuck Up book?
I really, really would.
Oh, but she's not read it. Eh?
Yeah, but
working for me for how many
say?
years? Thanks, Tony. Thank you, Tony. Eh? She's working for me. She has a friend, and she hasn't read my book.
What does it say that I'd recommend it without having even read it?
It says that you've not read it and you're trying to get out of it.
I'll be honest, I'm not really a book reader.
Aren't you?
What's the book that you're reading though?
But The Untethered Soul is one where I'm going
Brilliant.
through it step by step, and I love.
She's been reading it for
in
5
there.
months since she's been in it. She's on page 1.
Untethered Soul. Faith's read that, I think.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful book.
And it has just a lot of really nice moments that put things that you can feel internally into words in a really easy way to digest. And really encourages you to live with an open heart, which again I think is important, and it's just such a lovely message. So that would be my one.
Lovely. And I think the music, that's not thunder, is it?
No, that's a party, the disco.
Oh, it's the party.
It's the party,
There's a sort of Thai festival going on down on the
stunning.
beach, isn't there? And I really hope that the rain stops for them so they can enjoy it.
Yeah.
Look, thanks so much for doing this podcast and also hanging out for the last couple of days. It's been so much fun. And I know that I will enjoy listening back to this as well. It will bring back a lot of happy memories of the last couple of days. So, yeah, great to see you both. Thanks for giving us lifts in Trevor the Truck, which Stan has absolutely loved. We'll do another one now.
Amazing.
And we'll hopefully see you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tony. Have a great flight home.
Yeah, the last time we recorded a podcast was in Balham on a November evening. The weather wasn't the same
outside
as
a
this.
coffee shop.
Actually, it was
right?
raining, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was chilly. Yeah.
All right, but from a sweaty Thailand, we'll say thanks for now. We'll speak to you again soon.
Love you loads.
All right. That is it for today's podcast. Thank you for listening. I'm off to get my flight home. Thank you to Magnesium Breakthrough. Head to magbreakthrough.com/zestology and use the code zestology10 for 10% off. And I'll see you next time. Oh, what a great holiday it's been. Need to come out here for longer next time. As you heard, I think it might happen. I'm believing. All right, bye.